When you get Xfinity Internet, Flex is included free. And finding what to watch on TV is now as easy as popcorn. Show me my favorites. Yes, live soccer. This is how easy it is to find my favorite content, all in one place. And for Xfinity Internet customers, it all starts at free with Xfinity Flex. This is a way better way to watch.
Learn how to get a great offer on Xfinity Internet. Plus, add a free Flex 4K streaming box. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply.
Hello and happy Friday, party people.
Chips ahoy, Arrow.
Man, I'm thinking this is going to be the weekend. I've heard some rumors from the streets that these theaters are packed, that yesterday was a really, really big day because of a certain movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's got to happen sometime. I feel like, wait, isn't that a song? That's been a song from, wait. I'm gonna sing, Arrow. I'm gonna sing.
Okay.
It's gonna be the Arrow and Ryan show, the musical, in a minute here, because it's gotta happen sometime. Maybe this time, from Cabaret. I mean, it's gotta happen sometime, right? That we're gonna bring audiences back to the theater. So Marvel, if anyone can do it, it's Marvel, right?
You're absolutely right about that. I thought Disney would do something like that with Cruella, and maybe that was still way too early. But I mean, the thing about Cruella is the fact that people are still just discovering that movie.
I know. And can I just tell you personally, like, I'm so saddened that In the Heights has not done better. I know We're still dealing with pandemic hesitancy, returning to the theater, but gosh darn, In the Heights is it's the movie of the year so far. I mean, I've seen it 4 times. I saw it in the theater for the first time, and I was just weeping.
Yeah, in the best
way.
What's interesting is that I also heard rumors on the street that In the Heights was actually leaving theaters this week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's been there for a while.
Wow.
But it's time. Yeah, it's been there for a while, but it's time. And because it has not done as well. I mean, like, it wasn't the juggernaut that The Greatest Showman or Mamma Mia was.
Yeah.
And it should have been, because in some ways, I mean, it's as good as The Greatest Showman, It's better than Mamma Mia as a movie, but Mamma Mia was such a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating. I hope that it somehow finds a life, or that lots of people, it leaves, I think July 11th, it leaves, which is this weekend, it leaves HBO Max, and then people will have to pay to rent it or see it through digital platforms, and it will hopefully make some money that way.
Wow. The world of the movie business, the business.
I know, yes it is.
So you've seen Black Widow. What was it all about? Did you like it?
Of course I liked it, because Marvel sort of does no wrong. It's just different. Yep. It's different, and it feels a little late. First of all, it's happening after she's dead, right? I mean, Black Widow died in Avengers Endgame, and spoiler alert, too late. But if you didn't know that by now, then you kind of aren't a Black Widow fan,
right?
Or a Marvel fan, or an Avengers, or whatever. So, but she finally gets her standalone film, and it's the first that Marvel has done for a female. I'm, of course, not really counting Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn.
Right.
Wait. No, that's DC. Sorry, I crossed over. Okay. Well, DC, which also did 2 standalone Wonder Woman films.
Right.
So yeah, this is Marvel's first for a female, and it's great to see ScarJo get this film and do it. She's still wonderful, and I love Rachel Weisz as her mom, David Harbour as her father, and then you've got like Florence Pugh added to this film, and she is so fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, she's
right?
Yeah, she's there's something about her that is just screaming legendary. I mean, the first time that I ever saw her, I went, "Oh my God, we're living something right now."
Yeah, there is something special about her. I mean, she's got like star power, infinity, and she's just so amazing. So it's really great, and I love that she kind of also potentially her storyline might hint at the future.
I'm hoping.
Yes. I mean, it seems to be, especially if you stay through the end credit scenes, which you'll be thankful you've been watching any of the series on Disney Plus for, the Marvel series, and the rest of it. All, how they do such a good job at tying everything together. But the movie, it's weird. It's not the typical origin story. It sort of intersects with the Avengers, Age of Ultron, but before Infinity War, and instead of being a typical origin story, it adds some background and kind of peppers us with some more information and characteristics of Black Widow. But it's non-linear, and it just kind of adds to her character bonding and development. It's not as exciting as a film as Iron Man or Captain America. At one moment, Florence looks like she's a stormtrooper from Star Wars. I was like, okay, that's an interesting costume choice. And it does have one of the coolest, most impossible locations for a climax fight scene, in the history of film.
Wow.
But you got to see it. I mean, it's fun. We can talk about it, and I can criticize it all I want to. But I mean, it's still a must-see film, right?
Yeah. The one thing that I think stands out the most about this movie, and it doesn't even include words.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! I just kept waiting for something after hearing that, and to this day, I think that a movie of the future is going to answer that call.
Oh, I'm sure.
It has to, because they planted that seed.
Mm-hmm. It sure did.
Yeah. So now, what is the next one? Fear Street Part 2. Was there a Part 1?
There was last week. So there's this trilogy of horror films on Netflix that were filmed all at once, and they're being released 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row, all sequentially. And so Part 1 was last Friday. Today we are getting Part 2, 1978. Part 1 was 1994, which was fantastic. The period film and all the rest of it felt very Stranger Things-ish. And then this is Part 2, 1978. And these movies are adapted from R.L. Stine horror books series, and they're kind of like Goosebumps. They're kind of for younger readers, but these movies are not. These movies are rated R. There is nudity, there is sex, there's slasher films, there's lots of blood and gore. They're not that scary for someone like me. I love to be scared in a movie, but slasher films don't scare me as much. Someone being chased and getting hacked and the rest of it. It's like, okay, it is what it is, but it's fun as a horror movie. I mean, the kids in the cast, even though there's no one really famous in it, it has a very Stranger Things or Goonies or It vibe in the camaraderie among the kids that are running and screaming from, the killers. The story isn't that strong, but it's strong enough. And the style is so great, from the hair to the clothes to the scoring and the soundtrack, period appropriate music that makes it really fun. Part 2 here takes place at a summer camp, which is a great place, for any horror film. And then, the lore. There's a very strong lore and through line to these movies.
Oh, really?
Part 3 takes place in 1666 and really is going to answer and wrap up where this curse all began and what all happened, and something to do with like Salem witchcraft trials or something like that. So
wow,
it looks really cool, and that'll be next Friday.
Talk about going in the opposite direction of most movies. I would have started in the 16th century and then moved up.
Yeah, it's interesting how the sequels are prequels, and it's interesting how Part 2 started, because it starts it begins right as movie 1 ended. So you're in it starts as like a very typical sequel, and then it's like, well, let me take you back, and then it goes into the full film, which is all in 1978, and then at the end it kind of comes back to 1994. They're doing a really it's like one big movie that might have been 6 hours long, but they made it 3 parts.
Do you think they'll ever, put them all together like that, or is that's just up to us to watch it back to back to back?
I'm sure people, it's Netflix, and they're going to be there, and there's 3 weeks in a row, so they're all going to live there, and I'm sure people will have the idea to be like, let's have a Fear Street party and watch all 3. I think it'd be fun to watch them that way.
Yeah. In whatever order you want to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So the next one is The Stranger by the Shore. This one in itself sounds like a murder mystery.
Oh, it does, but it's not. What? It's a romantic drama. That is Japanese anime, and it's streaming exclusively on Funimation, which is an anime exclusive streaming service, and it's from Studio Hibari, produced by, and it's about 2 guys who form a connection more than friendship, and it's a kind of like a coming of age story. One of the guys works at his aunt's cafe, the other is orphaned, and he sits by the shore and become curious about each other and that sort of thing. And it's a little bit hard to follow. Those scenes end really abruptly, and the flashbacks are kind of confusing, and I also found it a little bit awkward. personally, I can relate to the coming out experience. And so some of it I was able to relate to and identify with, but then it goes into some very abrupt, strange, I want to lightly call them romantic exchanges, but they're a lot more rated R than that.
Oh, really?
And it became kind of uncomfortable for me to watch. But honestly, Arrow, I have to like, in retrospect, look at it and look at my perspective on it, because maybe that I was uncomfortable says more about me, my reacting to it, than it might actually say about the film or that moment. So I don't know. It's awkward. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I reacted to it, and I didn't enjoy it. I'm saying skip it. But for anyone that might be interested in this gay anime,
I've never heard of something like that before. This has to be a major first.
It's not a first.
Wow.
I did look into that. I looked into that because I thought so also. But apparently anime is super gay. Apparently there's a lot of gay characters and gay stories and drag queens and LGBTQ culture throughout anime series and films. So, but this is the first one that had been offered to me to review in advance of its, coming out. And it's available on Funimation, dubbed in English or in original Japanese with English subtitles as I watched it. And, it's only an hour long also. So if you're a fan of anime, you might want to check it out, but it just, it just didn't appeal to me.
I'm one of those weird people. I've never understood anime because I sit there and I look at it going, whoa, I don't understand why they're drawn this way. I don't understand why they're moving the way that they're moving. But
it's a style.
Yeah.
See, I grew up watching anime, and so it is a style that I'm comfortable with, and there are some classic anime that I grew up with that I love and I still revisit and enjoy. But and some of the new stuff I really enjoy too. And I think what's great about it is it's storytelling, for all ages.
Okay.
And and it has its own unique, identifiable style when it comes to its imagery.
Yep.
But then also its delivery too. So the sound and the pattern of and the rhythm of the dialogue. But I also just love how like their eyes shake when they're emotional. Like a close up of a face, you see like their eyes start shaking and shimmering, and the tears fall. Like there's some really, really beautiful things to anime that's very unique to it. And so yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste if it's not something you regularly seen, but it's a great option. It's a whole other genre unto itself, or a subgenre of animation.
Wow. So what's going on RyanJReviews.com? Anything really special?
No, but I do want to tell you that I'm on, I was featured on a podcast this week called Down the Yellow Brick Pod, which is a Wizard of Oz themed podcast that's hosted by Tara Tagliaferro and MK Schrader. They're two roommates in New York, Queens, and they met performing on the national tour. They do Broadway tours. Incredibly talented girls who during the pandemic started a podcast about the Wizard of Oz. Again, it's called Down the Yellow Brick Pod. And in dissecting the work of L. Frank Baum and the MGM film, and next they're going to be doing The Wiz. And they're so good at looking at these projects through the lens of 2021.
Oh, man.
And calling out what needs to be called out and the rest of it. But they also have a side series that relates to it called Their Slipperhood for ruby slippers and in the book Silver Shoes, and talking to people who identify with and relate to the story in a special way, and invited me to be featured on that series, and it just came out today. And so if you look for podcasts for either Down the Yellow Brick Pod or Ryan J. the Slipperhood, you'll find my episode. And I was just listening. That's why I was late calling to you today. I was just listening to it, and I got distracted by my own voice. But I'm such a good storyteller, right? No, kidding. But I'm honored to be a part of it, and so that's something fun that I haven't been on a podcast like that before. So
have you thought about doing one because of all of your knowledge and your storytelling ability and stuff like that? I'm shocked that you are not hosting something like that.
I've had a lot of people ask me that, and I've had a couple actually opportunities. There have been companies that have reached out to try to develop something, and I've kind of avoided it for a while, but I came up with an idea recently that I don't know if anyone in the world would want to listen to it, but I came up for something that really inspired me that's non-Wizard of Oz related. Maybe it might cross into film review a little bit, but it's a totally different subject that I think I might want to develop a podcast for. So I'm starting to take notes.
Oh, see, I love that the development of a podcast, because so many people jump into a podcast thinking that, oh, I've got this idea. Hi, Jimmy, how are you? I've had a bad day. Oh, Jimmy, I'm sorry to hear that. And I think that it's elevated itself to a place where it's now more than just a performance, but rather a showcase.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you think about all the podcasts that like uncover, that's like some of them are like investigative journalism, and they recount and they interview and they're finding things out and revealing, whodunits and all the rest of it. And so the medium of podcasting has really grown.
Yeah, look at Farrow. I mean, Farrow has opened up a door when it comes to journalism. My God, that guy is so incredibly great.
He's iconic, yeah.
Yeah. And I welcome you, man, to take that flying leap, and because it's such a great place to go, because there are no program directors.
Yeah, that's so true. That's a good point. Very good point.
RyanJReviews.com. Dude, you got to come back anytime, even during the week. If you do a big thing like this, first of all, where can they find the podcast one more time?
Oh, it's Down the Yellow Brick Pod. And so it's available anywhere podcasts are. So
you can just Google it, and we'll find it.
Yep.
Well, you know what I'm going to be doing today.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of podcasting, dude. I bet I'm a bigger fan listening to it than I am doing it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I can't get enough of it. That's all I do is listen to all these different shows and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you be brilliant this weekend, okay, sir?
Oh, Arrow, thank you so much. I wish the same for you.
When you get Xfinity Internet, Flex is included free, and finding what to watch on TV is now as easy as popcorn. This is a way better way to watch.
Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to get a great offer on internet and add Flex for free. Restrictions apply.